Today I'm telling the third story in the series of introduction to my travels around the world. So the first three stories are all about ex-Soviet countries back 30 to 20 years ago. So there are more two border crossing attempts to tell when I was still young and naive, willing to have a easy way crossing border with no consequences. And I was well physically prepared, but of course the border patrols and guards were also trained on professional level, so I wasn't successful. So two more attempts. One was in Odessa. I think it was around 1995. Yeah, it should be 1995, somewhere around that time. I traveled down to from northern part of Europe, from my country, which is now part of Europe, from western part of ex-Soviet. In Odessa, I basically went to a port, close to a port. There was some hill which overlooked the port. So the hill was open to everybody. I mean, that was little park. But I spent there considerable time walking back and forth and sitting down and watching all over the port, trying to figure out which of the ships there is heading to some foreign country. And if I remember it right, I couldn't figure out because obviously I didn't take out some binoculars not to be spotted very easily for that. And I did go to the port. I looked that there was train coming in, the cargo train to the port, and going out, of course, too, from one gate, but this gate was very well guarded. I saw a watchtower there. The military guy was standing above, and it was controlled very well, so I wouldn't be able to hide there. And I didn't want to take risk to hang under the train, cargo train, to get in there. So I jumped the fence. I think I did all the same day. Daylight. I didn't go at night. I was daylight because the port area was quite big, and I didn't want to be spotted at night. It would be out of place there, and would be easily to catch me as a foreigner kind of subject there, not out of place. So I went during the daytime. I jumped the fence and just walked casually, walked till the area where the ships were. I walked like a worker, with straight face, no spying movements or anything suspicious. But just by bad luck, one officer who was just walking around there, he spotted me. He was walking as well, like usual, but he spotted that something is out of place, that I don't belong there, probably because of my clothing and my backpack. So he stopped me, asked me what I'm doing, and I don't remember my answer. I really don't, but he didn't take it as a real answer. He brought me for checkup to some building there. And in the building, some guy told me, as I remember it, that first, of course, they asked me how I got in, and I told them a wrong story because I was planning to try again. I told them I came by the cargo train. And, supposedly the military control there at the gates didn't do proper check because, I wanted to keep the secret how I got in for next try. But they believed me that I came there. Probably I wasn't the first one, but they said that I was already on watch of them when I was walking in the park. They recognized me that I was whole day or half a day walking in the park and watching the port, suspiciously long, not as a regular tourist. So yeah, we already noticed that this guy probably gonna try to jump ship there. Anyway, I was caught just by unlucky coincidence that somebody was walking past me and suspected me. If there was quite a little movement at that time when I went, so I think it was the end of the day. It wasn't completely dark yet, but it was like end of a work day. So I would have slipped through, but if I would have gotten on the ship, I don't know. But yeah, I was told not to try again, and I decided, yeah, better not. So that was my attempt, unsuccessful, one of the total 8 attempts. And the last attempt at all was actually not abroad anymore. It was just attempt to cross the border. But it was to get back home. It was already in 1997. And the reason was that time, I think 1997, 1998, I think 1997 was, I already had to take visa to get to Russia because my country was separating. And I got the visa. I paid some company who made for money visas. Supposedly, I was invited to Russia by some company, and I went to Kazakhstan. I meditated in Tian Shan Mountains for 1.5 months. I was there, but my visa was, I think, only 1 month, or it was 1.5 months, something like that. Anyway, I overstayed my visa for couple of weeks because it took time also to come back from mountains. And when I was coming back, of course I took hitchhiking and trains with no money, and I was kicked out and I took again, and all kind of these kind of ways. But later on I will tell the stories what happened during this travel, many encounters with criminals and gangs, and not countless, but quite a few during my many travels. So anyway, I came back and I took a train. I told from, I think, somewhere after Moscow, and not from Moscow, but close to border already, I took the passenger train. I explained to the person who takes care of people there. So I explained that I lost the money. They called like supervisor. They accepted me because I showed my passport. I just lost the money and I was going back to my country. So we didn't suspect anything wrong with that. But on the border control, the military guys who control the documents, they saw that my visa has been expired by this time. As my visa been expired, in Russia, the rules are different. They don't kick you out of a country. In Russia, they keep you in country. You have to go to get new visa and to prolong the existing visa, and then you can get out with valid visa. Otherwise, you are illegal, and as illegal, they don't kick you out of a country. They punish you for that. That's different between the rest of the world and the Soviet Russia. Of course, it was after Soviet, but it was still the same principles. The laws haven't had changed so fast. Maybe now it's different. I don't know. Anyway, I was told to go back to Moscow. I said, I have no money. I lost money. I need to get back home. They didn't care. It's the law. They said, you have to go back to Moscow, apply for a new visa, for extension of visa, explain why, what happened, why you overstayed your visa, and then wait for a response, which can take months. So basically, I was supposed to go back to Moscow and to start the procedure of getting new visa. And when my visa was accepted, with that visa, I could go out of the country. So without money, I had better ideas. I was planning, after so much trials, attempts, to go on my own. But as I was so calm, the border guard actually told me, I see you are so calm. And basically, these people, by their experience, they said that these people who are shouting and crying and insulting, and they don't do that. They don't cross the border. They just threaten to do that. But as I was so calm and said, okay, I will go back to Moscow and, I do what necessary, that they said, you're gonna try. I can see in your eyes. You're gonna go on your own. But they said, if you try, we have warned you. You are now in a computer that we can imprison you. And I don't remember if he told me that time or later when I was caught already. But they told me that it's up to 3 years. Anyway, I was thinking how I do, which way I go over border, because by that time I knew that many people were crossing the border there. But they knew the routes, and special people who lived in the area helped over borders, because that time the metal business, the valuable color metals from Russia were brought over to Europe, and most of the time through forest routes. So basically, I know it's possible. It's not so difficult, but I didn't have the right people there with me to explain me where best way to go. And I was thinking I was already back in little town away from border, and thinking either to go to Moscow, which was absolutely not an option for me that moment, because I knew that it was just not an option. It wasn't even in my mind that I will go back to Moscow and start the process of getting new visa. But I was just thinking, how is the best way to get back to my country and never come back to Russia anymore. So by the time I was just hitchhiking there and getting closer to border again, because I traveled further away from a border with a train to show them that you see, I'm going away from border now, direction to Moscow, that they wouldn't wait me there, expect me in a border zone, wouldn't be on high alert, so to say. And I was hitchhiking back direction to the border, but just to another location. And one guy, it was also from my country, he was driving truck to my country, and he told me that he will help me over, that it's not first time, he done it before, helping people over, and just hide behind. The truck cabin was big and there was sleeping place, so I lied down on the cabin behind, and he put a sleeping mattress over me, and casually went to, on the border control, casually went to show his documents, but again, unlucky thing happened that one of it was just a good control post. By the time, I don't know, he did proper search of the cabin and the car, and he found me under the mattress. So anyway, they arrested both of us. And the guy who actually drove me, he wanted to bring me over, he got free after just several hours in their imprisonment place in the border patrol. There's just chamber, nothing special, where they locked us up in different chambers. And he was left free, and obviously for me, it's no question about that he paid for it, because he had a lot of cash with him. By his story, he was traveling to Russia with extra cash to buy a cheap car and bring it back on his truck, but he couldn't find a good deal, so he had a lot of free cash with him, going empty back to Russia. He brought some cargo to Russia and came back empty. Anyway, he had a lot of cash, and no question for me, he paid for getting free, to be let free. And I was sent then by police away, by militia. The Russian militia came after me, and they brought me to the police station already. And I was warned that for that, as I was told not to try, it was 3 years for me about to come of prison in Russia. And I had some quite dark thoughts on that time. I was there, I guess, one day, and it was pretty nasty place it was Следственный изолятор. I mean, to translate it properly, it would be like investigation isolator in a room. I mean, the people are under investigation still, not real prison. We were the two people, but we had limit of money, how much we could daily spend. We made a list to the officer there, what we want for this money to buy. They had a list of things like spaghetti or whatever, and we had little kitchen there in the imprisonment place. So for daily allowance, we were told what he should bring from market or shops, and we even cooked ourselves. And it was very little town, close to border. It was just a transfer point. It wasn't any place specially made for long-term keeping anyone. And I was thinking now my best days are over. Now I'm gonna get into gang life. I mean, you have to, if you in Russia prison, you have to learn to live there and learn the trade. But then came out, of course, the police and border guards or whoever there was in charge. They contacted my country and found out that I'm not a criminal. I was teacher of martial arts. I had my own school, and they basically didn't find anything incriminating on me to keep me there, even though I tried to cross the border. In Russia, I mean, people tell a lot of bad about Russia, but I will tell you that if police or militia or Russia, if they see that you are a normal person and you don't do it from bad intention, whatever happens to do against the law, they don't press on you by the point of the law. They try everything to get you out because you are not criminal-minded person. You are not living with that mindset of doing bad to people. Anyway, the point is that I was left out. I was brought back to the border. I think next day, the border guard took me, and on the bridge, there was one bridge, like in a movie. They met with my country border guards in the middle of a bridge. They gave me over to my country border guards, and I was escorted back to my country from the neutral zone on the bridge. And in my side, I told the story, what happened, and basically I was left go. And then I hitchhiked back home. Actually, I record that I was in the detention after being arrested in a border trying to get back home more than one day. I was there 2.5 or 3 days, something like that. And I was released, given over to my country's border units on the bridge on the 9th of May. I think it was 9th of May, on the day of end of war, day of victory over the Nazi occupation in 1945. So they said to me that because of that holiday, 9th of May, I was given amnesty locally, so to say, and given over without any trial or imprisonment longer. So that's what they said to me. I don't know how true is it, if I just made it up, but that's the fact that 9th of May on 1997, I was given over to my country border patrol and was left free. That's it for a correction. So that was one interesting and last unsuccessful attempt, because then I had to escape already my country for political reasons. I became politically active later, but these stories I will tell after, when I finish with the stories about Russia. And all this experience with unsuccessful attempts became useful when I really needed that in my future life. So basically, it wasn't for nothing, I would say. But one thing about the border control I was caught on the attempt to cross the border illegally from Russia to my country, the border patrol would have probably left me free even there, because they offered me kind of thing. They didn't say directly, but I think it would have ended like that. When they realized, they of course, even before the police or before militia, the border guard asked me who I am, what I do, and I told that I'm a teacher of martial arts. I have my private school, and they went away. And after they came back, I don't remember if I told or they called to my country and found out that I'm teacher. But anyway, they came to me and asked me, "Oh, you are a teacher of martial arts," with such an enthusiasm, like to put me on trial. But I know that, I was very well prepared, but you never know. Russia, people will train also very hard martial arts, and sometimes harder than the original countries where the martial arts came from. And I said then, I didn't want to risk my life on health on that, because you never know if some border patrol guy happens to be a fan of martial arts. Just even if I'm good at it, I can make just a mistake, and one mistake can cost me a health or eye or finger or whatever. So I told me, "Oh no, I'm just a philosopher. I write books about martial arts. I wrote a book by this time already and published." And oh, okay, and they let me go. And then police came, or militia came after me later. So I suspect that the border patrol wanted to put me on trial with some of their guys, and I didn't go for that. In order to get free, the freedom would have cost me maybe pretty damaging consequences for health. Why I'm telling that? Because, okay, I tell you one case that happened in Russia earlier times. I was traveling not only just to look around and go to China or Japan to practice there. I practiced martial arts also on my own during my stopovers somewhere in mountains, and meditated. And in some places I went to martial arts schools in Russia. I found them different ways. Sometimes just people told me when we talked that, okay, you should go there, But in one place it happened, I went to kind of secretive martial arts school. It wasn't secret completely, but it was a kind of invitation only martial arts school, not widely publicized. And because they didn't train sports karate, they trained some techniques which are forbidden during the sports. And I proposed them that let's try with one of their students. And the teacher, he said, he gave me one of his students, and we practiced. We did like free training of not really points, but till the blood. The rule was till the blood, So we both got blood, but nobody really won. But as the blood already was out, and we stopped the training, we had a tea after at the office of a teacher, and the teacher actually told me something which kind of surprised me. I didn't know such things happening in Russia, but he told me that you are lucky that you haven't been killed during the training, because just a few months ago to our school came two Japanese martial arts professionals and proposed fight for life, either them or to unconsciousness or whatever. So basically ended up the both of Japanese professionals dead in their school. So they said, if I came out alive, and you should be happy enough with that. And that's actually might be the reason why I decided when I was caught in Russia border, an attempt, I didn't know who will be my opponent. They didn't say directly that it will be some fight, but by the eyes and by the enthusiasm, I could read it. So I declined that, saying that I'm just a writer, because I don't know how good the opponent will be and if I end up with damages, with serious damages. So anyway, long story short, this is the conclusion of my introduction to my border attempts to go abroad in ex-Soviet times since 1989, I think, till 1997. That time frame, I did many travels across entire ex-Soviet Union. And later on, I will go deeper into what happened during travels, what kind of gang encounters I had, and how I got out alive from these situations. And not only me, the drivers who I've been traveling with, how did they how they do actually, not only during my time, but how they managed to survive or did in the past times, encountering gangs on the road. Someone had to be paid, someone had to... well, I will tell what happened later, next stories. Anyway, that's it for introduction of the 3 longer stories. And you will hear new stories next time.